Touch anything. Don't touch a thing.
I'm clicking all the buttons. Hello, hello, hello. We're clicking all the buttons. Oh, that's the wrong way. That's the wrong way. Good evening, Melrosians the world over. I am Tom Catalini.
I am Sam Hammer.
And this is Let's Talk Melrose. Melrose, a show where Melrosians talk to Melrosians about Melrose. And we have an extra special guest who is a dedicated viewer, except she's escaped the green room.
Linda,
she's coming back. Okay, all right.
Yes.
Should we reveal? Should we tease it right up front?
Well, now people know it's a Linda. So which Linda? Yeah. Linda with an I. So yeah, you'll never know.
A famous Melrose Linda who lives out of the country presently.
Wow, that could be anybody.
That could be anybody. Anyway, Sam, how are you doing? So it's you and me this week. Mr. Shampoo is unavailable, unavoidably detained or otherwise occupied for this evening. So you and I are going to carry the weight of LTMM today. We're going to talk about the news. We have Linda Grantfield from Toronto on the show, a former Melrosian, but always a Melrosian at heart, faithful viewer of the show. So we can't wait to get her. She's a fascinating person, and we can't wait to get her perspective on a bunch of stuff. Anyway, so that's coming up. What have you been up to, Sam? Anything good?
I'm not sure. I can't think of anything right now. I had to go into the office today. So I feel like on the in-office days, I don't know anything that's going on. I don't check my phone. It's like time stops. And then,
you know what else stops? The traffic a lot. So I drove in today, and I every time I go in, I'm like, why am I going in? It's tedious, the journey, and it's a first world problem. I got nothing to complain about, but it is different than being able to do things remote like this show. Although plans are afoot, maybe for an in-person show. The 200th is coming up. It's getting exciting. A lot of plans are in the works. There's a whole team researching opportunities, trying to make connections, get some of the favorite personalities over the last years to maybe reappear for a bit. It's going to be exciting.
It's going to be something. But no, I can't believe we've been doing this 200 times. I mean,
yeah, it seems like only about 190.
And every time I prepare, even tonight, I'm like, oh man, I check the newspaper, I'm scouring the internet, I'm looking on Facebook, I'm like, what's going on? And I think, whatever, it's just a show where we're just getting together to talk about the amazing city we live in. That's right. The banter is empty today, but we got things. There are things going on.
We got things. We got news. So, we do a rundown. We share some information, but it's really, we're here to carry on the conversation. Occasionally there's something bubbles up. It's usually, some controversy in town or something that's trying to, anytime we try to make a change or move some things in a particular direction, that seems to get some hubbub, but we try to occupy that space between, the official meetings of the city and the, sometimes unbridled conversation of the community page, and just have a place where we can have a chat about what's happening in town. So
great. So speaking of which, I totally forgot to put on here that yesterday, the Liquor Licensing Commission has unanimously approved the license application for Hannah Brewing Company of Melrose. So there they are.
Yes, the one we've been talking about. Citizen Paul Broder posted that on on Facebook. This was one of the accomplishments he tried to push forward during his administration, and that's a good example of something that maybe had a lot of conversation in town. Maybe in, I don't know, an unnecessary amount, but it seems necessary in Melrose. So there is a tension at times, particularly around the topic of liquor or things where there's, I don't know, seems to be a tension between how things used to be and maybe how things are trying to move forward in some ways. It seems kind of due to move these things. Melrose has been taking baby steps on the liquor front.
Yep.
I'm excited. I wrote in letters to support this. I'm a big proponent of this. I didn't even drink beer. I just think it's a good thing for the town. So it's interesting. I just think as far as keeping up with I don't even know if keeping up with the times is the right way to look at it, but just sort of the things that people these days like to do. So I think we were just talking about, commuting into work in this hybrid world, how it opens up some possibilities, but also I think that makes people want to get together in person even more. So your local
Yep.
library, which we're fortunate to be building a new library, a place to gather. The brewery, I think, represents an opportunity to do that. There's a bunch of coffee shops and restaurants in town that have those opportunities for gathering. So I think that's all good, and hopefully we can gather in person for the 200th
Yes, and
show.
I'm gonna grab the screen for a second because you mentioned
Yeah.
baby steps, and I totally forgot to show this picture. So there is baby steps being taken at the beer garden this past
Yes.
weekend. So I'll show you some pictures. So Jenny went, and she was our reporter at the beer garden. I did not end up making it, but she said it was packed, and the only person, and there are people playing games. There was cornhole. She said it was full of families and older adults.
Same as when it was outside, so that was good to see.
Yeah.
I didn't make it either, but that was great to see. Yeah, it's good family fun place to gather for everybody. I don't know, so it's all good stuff.
The only person she recognized in that whole place was Nancy Clover. She didn't recognize anyone else. So again, I mean, maybe a lot of them are Melrosians, but since Idle Hands, right? Since they were promoting and putting it out there, we were able to draw in people from other cities to, open their wallets and generate some economic opportunity for people here.
And we want that. We want them to come and see the symphony. We want them to come to the beer garden. We want them to come and see the boxing matches we have at Memorial Hall, and all the fun stuff to get together.
Yes. So should we go into the also other fun stuff to get together in the news? Yeah.
Yes. Let's go to the news segment of the show.
Okay. Do you need me to do that thing?
Well, I thought you were doing that.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Such a well-oiled machine. You can see the experience of getting near 200 shows definitely is coming across.
Oh my gosh. We can't phone it in because we had to show our faces. But okay. So it is budget season.
That's right.
Wednesday, February 7th from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m.
Must-see TV.
It probably will be on TV, but if you want to head down to the Learning Commons at the high school, the Melrose Education Association, that our teachers union, is hosting a budget presentation from our interim superintendent, John Massero. So I think as we have every year, as the school budget comes out, it's our biggest line item. It influences all of the city services the most. So he's going to give us an update on what he sees for our future next year and hopefully beyond too. So
more money, that's what he wants. I heard it's about a 10% additional ask this year, and that was the whole story behind that. So something to tune into for sure.
Yes, and luckily we have friends and neighbors who pay very close attention to these things. So I have secured a friend of the show, Sandy Dixon, who's been writing lots of articles on the school budget and how the process works and things to look for and recaps. She's been putting it on Facebook and also in the newspaper. She'll be coming mid-February to give us kind of a rundown on what's going on and then how we can all kind of pay attention. Thanks to her, we could just read her columns, but if we wanted to get engaged, she's going to help us do that.
That's great.
I know. Thank goodness for Sandy. Okay. I also read tonight, I found out that there is a housing forum coming up. It's going to be an in-person community meeting forum on housing with Senator Jason Lewis and representatives, it says, from the area. to secure a commitment to address housing issues and public housing, affordable rental, home ownership, reentry, etc. So that will be Tuesday, February 6th. So the night before, if you got things you want to just dive into Melrose stuff, next week is the week to do it. That's next week.
Yeah, there you go.
So Tuesday, February 6th, right before this show at 7:00 at the Temple. Thanks.
So I hope they have
I'm trying to post it.
I hope they have a hard stop at 8:30 advertised on that, because people have to tune into LTMM.
Yep. Okay, great. So head to do that. So the Greater Boston Interfaith Organization and Temple Beth Shalom are putting it together, which is great. If you have any questions or want to register, I will put the link. So thanks to Carolyn Cronin for putting all this together. I saw it through her. Great.
Sam, at the end of a busy week, so you and I are commuting, we're working, we're doing another show. What do you do to maybe wind down on a Friday afternoon after you punch the clock at 5 p.m.? What are some of the options in town?
Well, I usually put up a flare to see what's happening in the neighborhood.
Right.
Or a fire pit signals.
Right.
But if something really fun is going on, it usually gets into our thread. And Crescent Ave, Russell Park's own, Bill Butler is back this Friday for happy hour for a cause. And it's going to be tiki themed. So this Friday, 5 to 7, tiki themed. And they're supporting Melrose Kind, which we love. So bring some cash.
And it's at the Melrose Knights of Columbus upstairs on West Foster Street. Come on up to the bar, and Mr. Butler and his companion will be bartending, right? Celebrity bartenders.
Yep. It'll be really fun. Last time they had raffles, and I can only imagine what this tiki theme will be. Do you need to dust off or resize your coconut bra if you go?
Well, I got some coconuts, and I'll have to. I guess I'll have to finish eating them before Friday. I don't know what to say.
Oh gosh. Okay. I also want to give a quick shout out to Molly's bookstore. I love it there.
Yeah.
Have you been down to the downstairs?
Oh yeah, it's unbelievable. The renovation is, it's off the charts. It's very cozy, comfortable place, helpful staff, all the above.
So
checking
I grabbed
all the boxes.
Yeah, it does. And the thing that I love, so I grabbed a screenshot of their upcoming book clubs, because there are 6 of them coming up, and one for historical book club. So we'll have to see if Linda can make her way down here for that. But what I love about them is that they are willing to take risks and try new things to bring a new experience into their retail space. So they're having some ballet dancers come in to read about a book in a few weeks, or I think it's a children's book they're focused on. They always do something.
Cool.
It is cool. They have an author talk coming up this weekend, I think.
Author talk you would expect. Ballet dancers, not so much.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
They are very cool there. So go check them out. And then this is just a public service announcement for anyone listening, that Valentine's Day. 2 weeks away. 2 weeks away is Valentine's Day. So that's your warning. But
it's hard to distinguish, because for me, and you can ask Stephanie, but I mean, it's basically Valentine's Day all year round in our household. So it's hard to pick one day to be extra special, but we can try and bring it up a notch. We're kind of at the ceiling already. It's kind of hard to figure
romance. Out. The romances. Yes. It's red there all the time. Just hearts fluttering about. Well, Mel Landon, who is coming on the show next Tuesday. See, I'm getting good at pre-booking people.
Nice.
Mel Landon of the Worklery and Honeybees and a bunch of other things is coming on the show next week, because at the Worklery on February 7th, they're going to have a Galentine's mini swap of jewelry and accessories.
Nice.
I know.
I like anything that's swappy. That seems like a good thing, 'cause you
Yeah.
get together, you hang out and exchange.
So I'm curious to see how this goes because, it says you have to limit the amount of stuff you bring. But how do you what's the etiquette around the picking up the things you like? I don't understand how that works. So I'm going to investigate, but also
I just assume that this is somewhat civilized and not just a free for all with people frantically grabbing things. The brand name Galentine sort of, to me, sets a tone that's not people just rummaging through things.
Well, 89 people have responded.
Nice.
Yeah. Yes, it's great, and I feel like I need to get dust off my elbows. I don't know. I'm going to find out. I'm not a big accessory person, so I can let things go. But
the group that does and then I don't know if you have to swap, if it's a true trade or if it's just a free for all. But the folks who do that other swap that was out behind Memorial Hall in the summer and in the good weather, where you could just bring stuff from your house and swap it was very, very well organized, very orderly. So, and Mel runs great events. I'm sure it'll be
okay. Well,
orderly.
I will. We're gonna next Tuesday we'll come up with our strategy, and then I'll let you know how it goes on Wednesday.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, excellent. I found out about most of these things because I'm a subscriber to the Melrose Creative Alliance calendar. So here's the link for that.
Nice.
It's very comprehensive. I was gonna kind of connect Nancy Clover, make sure she's in sync with this calendar, or because she pushes a lot of information out there too. So
right,
and does all the things. So
right.
There you go. Okay, without further ado,
here we go.
All right. So welcome to Linda Granfield.
Linda.
Oh wait.
Yay!
There you go.
That's where I'm sitting. But for all of that, if you look on the wall, I have my Melrose sign.
Yes, I see it in the upper left.
And the Melrose, the fire department having the fair at the end of every summer. And it's from 30-something years.
That was really, I'm going to blow that up.
You can show that because we don't know what year it's from. I'm guessing late 60s, early 70s. It's the 36th, I think it was. So there you go. So that's all framed. It was one of the tossaways when I was taking our little brother to that fair over at Elk Pond. And it always marked, there you go, Fireman's Carnival.
Oh, 36th. Boy.
And they had it in the spring. And you knew it was getting to the end of the school year because you were going over for that. And it was where the preteens all, hey, pinch boys and, get away with it. Little temporary rides and booths and games. And it was over near the tennis courts.
Oh, that's so great.
And then a big fundraiser for all our nickels and dimes that we were spending over there. But it was a big deal. That and the bonfire. And I noticed Old Time Melrose there on Facebook. People were talking about the bonfire after Christmas, where we would collect all the trees.
Yep.
And people would promise you. I mean, we were about 8 or 9, and you'd have to go around to your neighbors and go, will you promise, please, will you save your tree when you take it down? Yeah, no problem. And then we'd go and haul them through the snowy streets when there were snowstorms and hide them in our backyard. Take over on that Saturday morning. But we couldn't stay up all night and protect them. So we'd put little secret notches on so we'd know if someone stole it. We would follow the trail of tinsel, which was the heavy lead tinsel that probably damaged us all. And we would follow it. Kid, there's always one kid who I will not name him. I still remember his name. And he would come around at night. His mother let him out of the house, and he would snitch trees from all our yards.
Was it Bobby Bell?
No.
So let's say
is a short form for his real name.
I'll tell you, nothing like the good old days when we start a bonfire and burn some lead for the community to breathe in
Exactly.
together.
And we'd pull them all down the Lynnpost Parkway from Green Street down the hill to over across where you had the worst hot chocolate ever. They had tons of watered down hot chocolate and this huge bonfire.
Wow.
Okay,
Like
let's
hundreds of trees.
let's set the stage here, Linda. So share with us a little bit about your you're up in Toronto now, proudly waving appropriately the flag. Obviously, you have a long history with Melrose. So give us a sense of your history with Melrose, and then kind of when and how you got to Canada.
Okay, I lived in Melrose from 2 years old, and I left in 74. So 50 years ago, I came up to Toronto for graduate school at the University of Toronto.
And you've been there ever since?
I've been in Toronto ever since because I met a Canadian in one of my classes.
Oh.
That happens. And got married. So then it was permanent living here. And every summer, we had 2 kids. Now I have grandkids. Every summer, back down with the kids to see my parents and grandparents in Medford and all the aunts and uncles. Not too many school friends. We lost touch. But all the family connections. Had to go to Nahant Beach. That's my favorite beach down there.
Yeah.
And, take the kids to see some of the places. Like when our daughter was reading Little Women, we went up to Concord to see Alcott's house and all the places, because I grew up in a family that loved history. Gee, what a surprise. I work in history. And we would go to those places because when we were kids, there were 7 of us, but at any one time, there were probably 5. It was a back seat full. And they didn't charge you to go in a lot of those historic houses. Royal House in Medford, all around. Upham House didn't get in there in Melrose, private. But Mom would make a packed lunch and we'd drive to Rockport, or we'd drive up to Concord, or we'd go up to Salem Willows, and we'd have picnics. And then we'd go to the House of the Seven Gables or whatever. And that's how we took in our history, because both parents were really into it.
And then
so I'm really happy to see how much history has blossomed in Melrose. Because I would always revisit things, like things I walked by, like are gone long ago, like the Livermore School on Main Street, or John Michelle's Pizza Place, or whatever.
Yes,
And
you must be loving.
the Victorian Society started a few years before I left, and that thing took off.
You must be loving Shane Egan's Old Time Melrose Facebook group.
I lost you.
Oh, how about now?
I'm on there. You guys led me to it.
Yep.
You had him on, and that was it.
Yep.
Definitely.
So
in fact, can you hear? You can hear me?
There's a little bit of a delay, but go on.
All right. He just did Walker's today, and there's a Walker's bottle.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
A little delay. Okay. Well, Shane just put up about Walker's. So there's Walker's bottle that I have. Little bits of Melrose.
Little bits of Melrose everywhere. You take it with you. So you and I connected a while back, and we've been trying to get you on the show.
Still have a delay.
Yes. What?
Yes.
You're in the future, Linda, and we're still in the past.
Well, I put up a link to a Wikipedia page that was written about you, but I could see. I was reading. I've read your biography before. Thank you.
No, it's all wrong.
It's all wrong.
Wikipedia page.
So you did not work at the Squire then?
It's all wrong. It's all wrong.
Oh, where do we find the right information?
No. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Real time?
We don't know.
On my page I sent you when we had the book.
Okay. I'll go back.
I'll give it to you.
Okay.
That's AI generated.
That's
The wiki is AI generated. and it's so full of mistakes.
You're an accomplished author of.
It's the Writers Union address that you have.
Oh, yep, I see it.
But I'll send it to you and you can put it up.
So, Linda, we had some budget. We were talking about the tight budgets in Melrose, and we too at LTMM have a tight budget this year, and we had to cut the entire misinformation prevention staff was let go. So we make no guarantees about anything we're presenting tonight.
Yeah.
Well, we tried to hire the AI to do the work for us,
No,
but that doesn't seem to be working.
AI. No, live show. So am I still delayed for you there?
It's hard to tell because we hear you and we don't know when you're speaking. You look good. You look clear now. Okay, you look clear. Okay, now I think we're real time.
So can you hear us?
Explodle.
Oh, you were
I
saying
can hear you.
Okay, great. That was an ice cream place. She was saying near Spot Pond that had the best ice cream. And since there were no seatbelts in the back seat, they'd have to eat it before they got in the car. So let's talk about the work that you've done, because you're quite an accomplished author. It's very impressive. You've written over 30 nonfiction titles for young readers and adults, mostly historic fiction. Is that correct? Okay. Nonfiction. And you focused a lot on World War I and World War II.
Hence all the poppies.
The poppies. Yep.
Yeah.
What is your favorite book that you've written? Because there are a lot of them. What's your favorite thing that you've uncovered?
It's funny you ask that, because I've gone into schools for 35 years. I just did my last school last November 11th. And kids always ask you that. And that's like getting asked, who's your favorite kid in your family?
I got an answer. I know the answer.
Oh, you have a favorite child? I don't. It's always your next project is your favorite. But the one that did change the whole trajectory was the one I did on the poem in Flanders Fields. The poem is recited around the world about that gave us poppies, why we even have them. That's the reason. So it was one of those times where you think, I know the poem, but we learned it in school, but I have no idea who wrote it. And then started looking into John McCrae's life. And that has been 30 years of new discoveries about this important person, especially in Canadian history. And then all the other books, like then the veterans get in touch with you and they're like, we don't have anything on the Korean War. So then you start interviewing Korean War veterans. And
so by the way, you've got, I'm posting the Amazon link here. You've got 69 5-star reviews on this in the Flanders Fields, the story of the poem of John McCrae.
If you want me to brag, I'll say I have like 60 awards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so long doing these, and different organizations, like historical. I even did a book presentation in Melrose with my grade 5 teacher as a guest at Melrose Public Library in 1999.
Wow. Where did you go to school?
I went to Horace Mann.
Oh,
and let's see. Then I did Coolidge Junior High, and then the old Melrose High School with the new wing. So class of 68.
Wow.
And then I went to Salem State, and then I went to Northeastern, and then I came up to Toronto.
Oh, nice. My youngest goes to Salem State right now.
Good school, and even better. I've on visits home, I'd go up and check out all those new buildings on the campus.
Yeah.
It's huge compared to what we had.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So
gorgeous.
So other Tom Shampoo is on our historical commission here, and between him and a few others on the commission and other folks that have just been in Melrose a really long time are interested in figuring out how to document and capture the history of our community, so we don't lose any more stories. Do you have a methodology that you could share, or how we should? What your thoughts are on
interviewing people in their 80s and 90s? Definitely. because they remember so many details. I interviewed war brides from World War II, and they were then close to 90, and the recall of the most wonderful stories. It's funny, again, on Shane's Facebook page, people have mentioned the Highlands Library. I worked at Melrose Public from age 13 to 28, like all through school, college. And they mentioned the Highlands branch. And we said, oh, Doris Pratt was the librarian there. And one of the fellows writing said, I used to go and sit on her porch. I think she was around 100 when she died a few years ago. And she would tell all these stories about Melrose, I think it would be great to have it as a high school project.
Oh, there you go.
That the students, because I know they're having a lot of this where college students go because they have no place to find a place to room. They will rent a room with this in a senior's house who has empty space. And they say it's really working well because they story tell. The two age groups love to tell stories. And so it's carrying on the history. But I think you do still have like community service requirements for high school, right? Okay.
Yep.
We do here too. And I think if that was one of the options, you could get some of these kids who are good with video or learning that forgotten art of transcription, like audio, and then write it down. Like anyone who's going
we have the AI robots do all that now, Linda.
Yeah, right. Like they get all the wrong stuff on me.
Hey, that's a great idea. You can't
get that stuff down.
Yeah.
You have to go through committees and all of this. I said, I didn't ask for it. Too bad. But interviewing seniors is great. Or just, I wish someone was culling the stories that are on Shane's Facebook page, because, I read it and I go, it triggers a whole lot more stories. Like, all of a sudden they mention the old high school and I'm like, oh, 4th of July, like all the kids in Melrose, they walked down to the high school on the 4th of July, watched in the coolness of the auditorium because no one had air conditioning, and it was cool brick building, and they'd run cartoons and a few double feature short movies, Three Stooges, the whole thing. And then on the way out, the big tough high school kids got to stand with the box of Hood's ice cream sandwiches.
Oh.
And they gave each one of us one. And there was another kid on the other side of the door, high school, who handed you a flag. Like we're talking this big 48 star still. And
this is before what, Hawaii and Alaska?
Yes, indeed.
Are those the last two in?
Yep, last two in.
Okay.
And so we'd go home, and about 4 or 5 of my family would be going. I'd be taking the littlest one because I was the oldest. And we'd come home with those flags, and my dad would roll them up every year, and we'd just add to them, and he'd stick them in the grass all along the sidewalk up to our house.
Wow, sweet.
And all the kids did that. And you'd look down the street. You know how now you have streets full of blow-up Santas?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Green Street would have all these little, not so little flags, all unfurled in our front yards.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And you had that ice cream to eat all the way home. And the city did that. And it was wonderful. Doll carriage parade, Viking doll carriages all around El Pond.
That still happens.
Did it? Do they still have that?
Oh yeah, up at the Common every year. Yeah, that's it.
Oh,
yeah, that's a great event.
It was fun. So the city was really good. They would use the art room at Coolidge School, and they would hire high school, college kids who were going to art school, and they would come with some high school helpers, and we would do copper enameling, weaving, all in that little front room on the first floor of Coolidge School. And you'd pay, I don't know, 10 cents to make a mosaic tray.
Wow.
And this was all the city. So the city's always been good about letting kids enjoy living in Melrose.
I think a lot of that still happens. I think the rec department does a ton of it's sports and other activities, but I think that's a great point. Like, we got to keep these kids busy and out of the shenanigans, right?
And happy. Yeah. There was always a bus going to Stoneham Pool. Kids kids were bag boys for the summer in high school, that Serotanis downtown, or kids that hang out at the wall at City Hall. Well, parents didn't like that too much. You'll get into trouble.
What
Sit
wall?
on the wall at City Hall.
Oh, just right on Main Street, that wall?
Yeah, you're just hanging out. They,
It's a good
sit
spot.
there with your back into the bushes. They're still there. So, yeah, the parades, a lot of veterans that you met. And that's what got part of my interest. I mean, my dad and his brothers, there were 6 of them who were in World War II.
Wow.
And they all came home to various degrees.
Yeah, wow.
But, there was that element was very much alive in Melrose then too, 50s and 60s. It was all like, my dad ran for alderman.
Oh.
I mean, he was he had a cousin who had been in Massachusetts rep and was also in Washington, D.C. during the Depression. He was in charge of agriculture.
Wow.
So, the family was most kids' families, it was like better what the immigrant experience was. And I'm only 2nd generation American. So just interesting community. As I said to Sam before we started, the diversity, the cultural diversity now in the city is something that was not there, except for a couple of Chinese restaurants. You had no idea of people from Afghanistan or from the Caribbean, or they weren't in school with you. I mean, you learned about all these other countries, but you had no experience of the food or the music. I think we had folk dancing as part of the gym program in high school, and you learned, like with the bamboo sticks, you had to do the Philippines dances. I think we did. That was it. I mean, there wasn't this exploration of the world.
I think is it the Girl Scouts that do the international dinner? Is that something you're involved in, Sam? I think Stephanie who was involved
Lincoln.
Was it
School.
Lincoln?
Yeah,
Okay,
and the Human Rights
international dinner
Commission.
that tried to do a celebration of cultures, or still does.
Yeah.
It's all good stuff.
Oh, to watch what's going on there now with the arts and the honoring so many traditions. It's just like second nature. You can tell it's just like, well, that's the way it is. I mean, that's the way it was for my kids up here. I mean, there are 160 plus dialects of languages spoken in Toronto.
Yeah. So what is the lowdown in Toronto? What are you doing? What's the lifestyle there? That's a big city compared to Melrose. Are you in Toronto proper?
Outskirts, but still,
yeah.
I'm not downtown. I'm in it'd be like living in Melrose to Boston almost.
Okay.
But everything, you really have to know downtown. It's very clogged now with building and too much traffic, and condo building is closing down so many streets. And so we have all that big city problems that they have in Boston.
Yeah. How's the weather? How's the weather right now? It's cold down here.
The weather, my dad used to joke, like, how's the weather up there? We're on the exact same parallel as Melrose and Boston. So we get the weather maybe a day before you get it, but it's the same weather.
You should call us and tell us what's about to happen.
Yeah, all right. Weather reports from Linda.
We haven't had a big snowstorm yet.
Yeah.
You guys have had snow. We haven't had a dusting. It's a dusting and then it's gone. And we used to get huge amounts, but part of it is Buffalo gets it. And as it comes around the lake, we don't get it. North might get it. We don't get it. It's a good city to live in for as I said, the multiculturalism, the diversity is huge. All those years of going across the country and into the States too, to schools. I think only one time in all those years was I in a school that was not diverse. And you really noticed it. Like I remember walking in thinking, there's something off. There's something weird about this school. And then the kids filed in. I thought, I haven't seen this in decades. So, I mean, they're all learning, like kids are learning Mandarin in elementary school because there's a huge Chinese section of the city. And Sam, you've been up here visiting.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, we came. I tagged along for a friend's 20th wedding anniversary, and
That was fun.
it was really fun. And what I really noticed was the city. I think I said when I came back, the city is really designed for people.
Yes.
You can tell that it is designed around people first. So there are all the streets are pedestrian friendly. There was room for bikes and also cars, but like it really has people first in mind when designing the roads and the
car thing. Yeah, it's very heated. It's always been heated because the street doesn't get any wider,
right?
But they take over most of a full lane, so then you're left wondering, I hope a fire engine doesn't need me to get over to the side because there's no longer room to get over to the curb.
But the public transportation was also fantastic. We stayed in the downtown area, and
you can get everywhere.
And quickly. And the next one was coming right after the first. It's constant. And I think, here with the T, we probably nothing.
Same thing. I'd say probably same.
Yeah.
I was just saying nothing. It's only gotten worse.
Yeah, my dad took the subway in from Oak Grove or from Everett Station every day of his work life. He worked for the Industrial Accident Board in Boston, and
my goodness,
he would always say, "I love those square wheels."
Yeah, but we talk constantly
Wait a minute. What comes across your desk every day at the Industrial Accident Board? That sounds like that's a heavy.
He started after the war as a clerk, and that's where he met my mom because she worked for the Department of Fish and Games in the Tremont Street building.
See, wait a minute. Now you're talking Fish and Game. That sounds fun. Department of Industrial Accidents. That's not what I want to do all day from 9 to 5.
For a lot of my little childhood, he was an investigator, and so he had the North Shore area. And so he had actually been up to Salem State when they were digging the tunnel between the buildings way back. And it was not properly shored up with wood, and someone was injured or killed. And I remember him having to go up when I was a little kid. He had to go up and he didn't want to talk about it at the dinner table to my mom. So they were, and I'll say this for the Fireman's Carnival. He saw a lot of accidents that were these temporary fairground places.
Right.
So all our lives we were warned he would check it out because he knew the companies that were installing them. And we went to the Fireman's Carnival because he totally knew that company that came in and set that up was first rate.
Oh, there you go.
See? So Melrose was checking.
Yeah.
And going for the good installations.
If we could bring one thing back, what would you recommend we do?
Could even reimagine something from the past.
You're already doing it with rebuilding the library because, like I said, I worked there, and I'm wondering what they did with the civil defense barrel that used to be under the stairs. It was there from, we're afraid of the, nuclear, whatever. And then you go see.
Well, wait, what's in the civil defense barrel? What's in the barrel? You get in the barrel if something bad happens?
The barrel, you should ask someone who worked who's from the library. In the old section of the library, when you went down in the metal stairs, what used to lead you into a children's room, there was a huge, I don't know how many pound, big barrel with the civil defense sign, yellow with the crisscross. And I think it was supplies because it was supposed to be if the bomb dropped in the Cold
War, make sure you have enough peanut butter.
You were supposed to go there. I mean, all the windows would have blown out and you still would have come out sometime, but everything was fallout shelters then. That would be 61, 60, all in the 50s. So I often wonder, did they ever open it? Was it safe to open when they took everything out of the library for the renewal?
Oh, we will try to find out for you.
Find out where's that barrel, and it was in the old stone cellar under the metal stairs. Nice, safe place.
What was it called again? The civil
defense. It was a big barrel, and it was under the stairs, pretty close to the side where the director's office was, upstairs.
There you
Okay,
go.
we'll see how we.
It's a mystery for you, but so much has been. I miss. I was sad to see when Deering Lumber was gone, including that big door with the painted moon and sun and the trees. Was that still there for you guys?
Yeah, when I moved to town and I needed a piece of lumber, I'd go down and actually went down in Deering to try and do stuff around. I'm not that super handy, but we used to get down there and try and get some stuff and talk to the guys and find out how much I didn't know.
Yes, thank goodness they know stuff. No, right across it was like a big barn-sized door, and it was gorgeous. And I wish Melrose had a kind of museum, because then I could send them my, you want my markers? I'll send it to you.
Oh,
whoa! Do you know Scott McCauley?
I don't know Scott. But
Okay.
I have a feeling he may have had a brother who worked at the library during the high school times, because the McCauley sounds familiar. So in the
so
family,
he's
history.
He's been on the show, not for a long time now, but he's got basically a museum of Melrose. So he runs a vacuum repair shop over by the city yard. And if you ever stop in and talk to him, he can fix anything that needs fixing. But he'll also give you history on your house and all kinds of information. He's very well-versed historian. And then out back, he's got 2 sheds I've been through where there's all kinds of artifacts like what you just held up there, all the stuff from Melrose over the years. It's fascinating. So if you ever do make it back down to town, you have to pop in. Yeah.
But is there any talk about actually using like making a pop-up museum that could eventually be permanent?
There is now.
Yeah, I think there was some. There were some rumors of that. Yep. But
because you wouldn't need a lot of floor space, because like all museums rotate their display, and that's what keeps people coming. So as long as you have basement storage that's safe from, maybe a bit climate controlled, you'd be okay. And then you just keep switching out what goes in those display cases.
Yeah. Maybe this is a little decor for the new brewery,
Could
they
be
can have
glass
a wall of history, and we can hang out by the wall downtown just like Linda did back in the day, looking for trouble and shenanigans.
Getting into shenanigans, yeah. Definitely.
Oh my goodness.
That would be something, I think, and you're generating all this interest in history by having these people on who will drop these nuggets of information and just go, oh, what's that? So that might be an idea. Storefronts are expensive to rent. I know that, but you never know. And there's so many people who do, and maybe that program of getting the kids to interview people, that could be a place where they meet to interview. And then you're keeping it full of people.
I love it.
They got some space in City Hall. We could.
I have to confess, I think maybe once in my life I was in City Hall because my parents helped run the Democratic City Committee.
Ooh.
And I used to go down and stuff envelopes for was it McGovern? No, who was before McGovern? And we had to do those and lick them all. And for those elections. And I think that was the only time I was ever in City Hall, was working for that committee on a couple of elections. We'd just go in as kids to help. But again,
I just thinking that might be a nice, a city building might be a nice location for a permanent installation of what you're talking about. It would seem like a good idea.
Ask Scott who he knows at City Hall who might be willing. I know they have the historical room at the library, which is great. Actually, my books I sent, as each book came out, I sent a copy to the library as a non-circulating copy. So they're all up in, or they better be. I might come down and find out they sold them all. but they have that kind of history. A lot of it you can't see. It's not in cases. It's sort of packed away.
Yeah.
So it would be really nice if Melrose had a little museum.
Yeah.
And then you could get school groups. It's hard for schools to take kids on field trips. That sort of disappeared because of cost. But maybe there's a way that, a school could go and host a day and then
Yeah.
welcome their families and tell them all about Melrose.
Third graders at Lincoln had a historical scavenger hunt around, and we had to walk around and research and investigate places. That was kind of cool. But it only happened once. So.
I don't know if they do it, but even to go through Wyoming Cemetery, there's a lot of history in Wyoming Cemetery.
Yeah. Are you following the Historical Commission on Facebook as well?
No, I haven't been. Cause you know what? I'm supposed to work, but I get changed and I'm like putting in my 2 cents. And I say, no, I won't. Hold back. And then
I'll send you the link, because if you go back a few years, Jim Bennett, our local historian, did some fantastic pieces on I think there was a series on for Black History Month in Melrose.
And the First Nations, the Indigenous, he did.
Yep. Yeah.
Yes.
So, well, I'm so glad you are here and keeping up with the times.
Oh, I am. It's like I never left 50 years ago. Came up to school and that was it.
Yeah.
Like,
well, when you come back next, please let us know. You can stay here. We'll take you on a tour around. Yeah.
I'm sick of the red roof on Route 1. Let me tell you.
But thank you.
That wasn't a plug for the red roof.
Oh,
Sorry, red roof.
But thank you so much for making the time.
Yes.
Thanks for
coming in. Yeah, of course. I'm glad we finally got to
And anytime a Melrosian comes up here, I haven't found any who live here. But if anyone has a relative who lives here, tell them to get in touch.
All right.
Nice.
We will.
Compare notes. And I wanna come down into that Melrose Museum.
Yes. All right. Well, we'll get cracking, and we'll put the civil defense barrel will be the first thing to go in.
Yeah,
so.
I know. Scott might have that in his back room already.
Right.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Well, wait. You can't leave yet. You know how the show ends, right? Of their show.
There we go.
All right. Let me figure out how to do this. Anything else, Tom, you got to say before we sign off for the night?
Thank you, Linda, for joining us. That was wonderful to talk to you and get your perspective in the history of amazing stuff. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it was so great to meet you finally. And we will hopefully see you around town.